Tell them I said, what's up?
I will. Hi there.
Okay, looks like it's happening. It's happening. It's happening.
Okay, great. So while and we're live. It looks like we're live right now for bedtime stories. It's good times.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome.
Welcome to the bedtime stories. Welcome to my COVID hair.
Oh man, we are so grateful for everyone that's joining us. We want to give a few minutes to allow people to join us. And thank you to our wonderful guests who are joining myself and Red tonight for bedtime stories.
You may have heard of a little event called Soul Summit that happens in the park of Fort Greene, Brooklyn. It's, I guess, overseen by three special gentlemen, Mr. Sadiq, Mr. Taboo. What's up, Taboo?
Hey, what's happening?
Your own show. Jeff was here. Jeff's not here. Jeff was here. He's here somewhere, people, but Mr. Jeff Mendoza. And hello. So
Hello.
let's see. That young lady over there is.
I'm Sin Rose. And that young lady over there is.
Hello, I'm Red. Welcome. Welcome to Bedtime Stories.
Thank you. Thank you.
We are super excited to have the gentlemen of Soul Summit Music joining us today. It's such a great pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much.
Likewise.
Thank you. Thank you.
So as I mentioned before, one of the things that we always start with, well, before we get started, actually, I want to just tell everybody that's joining us that we will be stopping exactly at 11 p.m. Okay. And the reason why is because I'm here in a not in my home, but in the spot where we're going to be doing the underground spot of, we're going to be doing Toca Tuesdays here, the live stream after this. And that starts at 11 and the DJ setup is already set up. So music will start at 11 and unfortunately conversation and music don't necessarily go together. So
hey, there's three of you guys. So if the conversation's that great, we're doing a hard off at 11. We'll have you just come on back. Just come on.
That's right. That is right.
Sure.
So how we doing, guys? How we doing? How's everybody doing?
Good. Can't complain under the circumstances. Very good.
Yeah.
So glad to hear it. One of the things that we like to start the program with every time is because we know who you are. We know a little bit about you. We want to make sure that everybody that's watching knows a little bit about you as well. So we would love for you to start by just telling us a little bit about who you are, each individually, and then why do you think that we invited you here? So whoever would like to go first, or I could pick you.
I'm going to go ahead and pick. I'm going to pick in the order you showed up. So Sadiq, you're on.
Aha.
Well, my name is Sadiq Bellamy. I'm originally from the Lower East Side. I was a transplant to Brooklyn. I moved to Brooklyn during what I call the cultural explosion of the early 90s. So I went to school in New England. I went to school at Morehouse College, blah, blah, blah. I've been DJing for most of my life at this point. At least 90% of my life I've been DJing.
All right. That's great.
Wait, really quick, you moved here from where?
Well, I was saying I moved here to Brooklyn from Manhattan. Most people think because I was part of the creation of the Fort Greene Park phenom that I was originally from Brooklyn. I moved to Brooklyn after graduating from college along with thousands of other people of color into the Clinton Hill, Fort Greene area. So yeah, I was originally from the Lower East Side.
I like that I see in my head, I thought you were gonna say some island or something like.
Me too. I thought he was gonna be like, I'm from Georgia or I'm from Oklahoma or something.
Okay, so you moved to the real world from the real world.
Yeah,
Okay.
my family, I mean, the background is South Carolina, of course, first generation
Okay.
born here. Everybody else was born down in South Carolina. And, during the second great migration, my mom came up, my grandmother came up in between the first and second migration to Harlem and then to the Lower East Side. So.
Okay, Jeff, you are up.
Yes, my name is Jeff Mendoza, co-founder of Soul Summit. We started back in the early 2000s, and our first events were in a location known as Kyler Park in Brooklyn. And after a short time, it exploded and it moved up around the corner to Fort Greene Park. And we've been doing outdoor music festivals there now for going to 20 years.
Notice he's given the history already. That who's Jeff Mendoza? Where is he from?
Jeff Mendoza
What is he like
is
to eat?
similar. It's similar.
This is exactly why we wanted you guys to talk to each other.
Similar. It's similar to Sadiq's. It's similar to Sadiq's run, where my parents, well, my mother comes from the South. Her maiden name is Cotton. So this is the real deal.
Wow.
Came up from the South. Pardon?
I said, wow.
Yeah, the real deal. Met with my father, who was from Cuba, and they resided in Harlem and later moved to Long Island. And I had an upbringing between the two suburbs and the boroughs. So, and that's pretty much my experience.
Okay.
Growing up.
Okay. Taboo.
Like it.
Taboo is
Hey.
you.
All right. So yeah, Taboo, government, you could call me Mike, but I'm born and raised in Brooklyn, lived in a few different neighborhoods in Brooklyn. Like you said, been DJing, it seems like forever, collecting records before I was DJing. Kind of always was interested in sound, graduate from Center of the Media Arts. I took a couple of courses in computers when back in '98. After that, built sound systems, I guess reverbs and different things. Yeah, and we kind of just, started an event that the event that we would like to go to, but probably wasn't just as frequent enough happening. I mean, we had like a little dose of Grant's Tomb and some other events that were happening before us, the Jamboree and some other stuff, Boardwalk and other things. And we just figured, Sunday was a quiet day. Why not bring a little excitement to a Sunday afternoon? That, sums it up somewhat.
Somewhat is an understatement.
Yeah. Because it's a lot. It's totally so much more. But this is like a quick synopsis of foundation.
Okay, so
I love that, we just got a little sample of how you brothers may interact with each other. And what I'm curious about is, because I think that when teams come together to do things, right, there are certain things that one person has like a stronghold in and another person has a stronghold in something else. I'm curious about what roles you each play. I'm assuming, Taboo, yours is like sound, right? Because you mentioned that, but maybe that assumption is wrong. What are your roles?
Well, I do. I think we all contribute to the sound, but I would say in the beginning, initially, we knew what we needed it to sound like to make sense. So we kind of had a good idea. We own a sound system. At this point, we don't bring it out anymore. But yeah, it was sound, and I do somewhat of the marketing of the event too.
Sadiq?
Yeah, I tend to not go there often when we interview. Folk often act, I like the way you asked it. Often folk are like, well, who's the most patient? Like set up questions. You didn't do that. So that was nice. But we serve universal roles. This partnership is extremely rare, the partnership we have. It's a very tight knit community unit corporation. So we serve a multiplicity of roles. I mean, I'm the president of Soul Summit, but I'm also the sound guy. As Taboo said, we all have tremendous sound systems. We all have tremendous collections, thousands upon thousands. I have 10,000. Taboo probably has double that. So yeah, we all play all the roles really, really well, in my opinion. We're all very patient. We're all very wise. We come from stable families. We all love our children, and we're forward thinking, and we are always trying to bind our culture and family into the Soul Summit spectrum.
Okay. And Jeff, how would you answer that?
I agree that one of the things I used to mention a lot, and the fellas can, I'm sure, attest to this, is that to piggyback on what Sadiq just said, I would always say what we do, especially initially, has come easy to us, but I would always point out that it's not easy. And I'm talking about, as Sadiq had pointed out, that the camaraderie and the tight knit of being able, because as you move forward, a lot of arrows and obstacles can, come about. And to be able to hurdle over those as a unit, as I said, for some, I mean, you can see units of families, of brothers and sisters that may have more challenges than the three of us have plowed through. So yeah, just to piggyback pretty much on what he said.
Okay. I just want to share with the people that when Jeff got on, he was doing a lot with his phone. First, we couldn't hear him, and we told him, we got him, turn it, and now his whole, this is not a virtual background, people. Jeff, you got your whole area together. So I just want to say that was a good job, because now your whole background, in effect, is better than mine right now.
I know who's responsible.
You're killing it, Jeff. You're killing it.
Look out.
And it ain't
Yeah, that's that middle class living, you know what I mean?
Wow.
Well, I have a question. Did any of you come with a specific story that you actually want to tell or share? Did you come with any pre-posed, I guess, stories? And it's okay if you didn't. I just want to know.
Well, yeah, I have one.
Give it. Let's go.
I want to hear it. I want to hear it. Let's go.
That I stated before. I was on my way to the park. They used to have in Fort Greene Park on Tuesday nights, I believe it was, they would have nights where they would have music. And I was on my way up. And at that time, there was a councilman, the name of James Davis, And he was very unique, and as he would frequent the community and shake hands and kiss babies, so to speak, throughout the community, they knew him as regular people. He was hands-on. And as I was walking to the park, I saw him. I said, "Hey, James, you coming through Sunday and hang out with us?" He says, "No, I'm not coming this Sunday, but be sure to give the people my love." And prior to that Sunday, he was murdered.
Wow.
So we had the opportunity that Sunday to relay his message to the people who were there. That's one of the stories
Wow.
that he played a role in the early part of Soul Summit's existence. Yeah, James Davis.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
That's
rest in
bittersweet.
peace to that brother. That's a very moving story, because I'm sure as a person that was like advocating in the community, he may have had a hand in helping you guys get permits.
Oh, yeah.
Or is that what you're saying? I'm asking.
Oh yes. I don't know if any of the fellas would like to mention on how he first came about, how we first met up in Kyler Gore Park with James Davis. That was unique, and from there, that was our first acquaintance with him. And since then, he was like, as you would say, a kazoo from the Flintstones cartoon to us.
I like that comparison.
While he was in that
And-
position.
I was gonna say, so rest in peace, Mr.
Yes,
Davis.
yes.
The first thing I thought of when you said Councilman Davis, though, is wasn't on Good Times the councilman that was always coming around, wasn't his name Councilman Davis? And that was the first thing I thought of. And I'm like, we got our very own, but rest in
Wow.
peace, Councilman Davis. So let me ask you guys a question. How do you know each other?
Well, I know both these guys from direct trading records. I know Sadiq was a customer, and I think I met Jeff up at Grant's Tomb. We were selling records or mixtapes or something to that effect.
So
In the
I would love to
90s.
know, has it always just been you three? Question in the chat was Reggie a part of Soul Summit in the beginning? I'm assuming that's Reggie Seal.
Yes.
Raz. Yeah, Raz was one of the first, what I would call resident DJs of Soul Summit from day one. You're talking about Raz, right? Did I hear
Yes.
Yeah.
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 Yes.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and ask. You don't have to elaborate, but did he leave on good terms?
I think so, right?
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if he left. Yeah, but yeah, I guess. Yeah.
All right. And that question was from our brother Frank Thomas, who's in the chat.
Okay.
Okay. Soul Summit is how old now?
Well, we're coming up on year 20, God willing.
Wow.
Last year was year 19. So yeah, it'll be 20 years this coming summer, 2021. Yeah, but in terms of how we met, yeah, I remember, I think I was in search of a rare song, a 12-inch mix or something. And Taboo was a big collector, one of the biggest collectives in Brooklyn. Anybody that's a collector knows that he has the monster collection. So I think that's how we met. And that was before my daughter. My daughter's 26. And that was years before she was born. And we were just running in the same circles. We would see each other at band, not really knowing one another. Jeff and I, it's even a crazier story. I went to a party, is a very famous Brooklyn party, an annual, and he was DJing, and I didn't know, and I went in there, and I was like, wow, I listened to one mix, you go in, you're like, what's it gonna be like? Another one, I was like, wow, this guy's pretty good. It's pretty good. I don't know who this guy is. And then he'll tell you how he met me. Jeff, how did you meet me?
the same way at the same event. I said, wow, this, because the first thing, I'm gonna be honest, the first thing a DJ does, well, most DJs, let me say myself anyway, they critique. And you know, some of us, we may look for errors or mistakes, and I'm like, you know, or faults. And I'm like, hey man, this guy, he's not making any of them, you know, he's on point. And that was way before, you know, Soul Summit, or that, you know, we even became to know one another.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow. And we look back and it's like, wow, small world.
Well, one of my questions that I have for you guys was, where did you play before Soul Summit happened? So I'm going to go back to this secret Brooklyn event that you were playing at and ask, what was it? Where was it? Just say the name.
Well, I know I used to do a lot of move around events. I've worked with a few promoters throughout New York. And some of the places, the key locations that the events took place in was the Central Park Boathouse. That was a pretty big event. The Central Park Boathouse, the 700 Club on 7th Avenue, the Toy Factory on 5th Avenue, the Macklowe Hotel, a lot of hotel events, the Hemsley Hotels. These were with promoters. Sam Tugger, he was around a promoter who was back from like Kilimanjaro's and what the underground times from those times. And through those promoters, I pretty much did various gigs throughout the city, and that bounced me into a radio personality, Johnny Allen. At the time, he was with 98.7 Kiss FM, and we started doing gigs around at other small clubs, the Manhattan Proper in Queens, and private events throughout. So, yeah, man, and from doing it from those times, I was able to experience the music change, how the people who came out to party was grooving and dancing to one particular sound. And as the radio programming for the FM radio programming changed, the sound, the people who were coming out to party, the sound changed to the R&B sound. And I experienced that running. That was part of the frustration as us coming together with the Soul Summit. It was like a void where the music changed and something was missing, and we came together and we saw that hey, this needs to be addressed. This is going too far. You have a lot of people who didn't really agree with some of the music that was being forced on people.
Okay, forced one. I like that.
Right.
So Sadiq, where was the place that you initially heard Jeff playing?
Oh, it was the brother that owned the brownstone, and he would have this massive party, this annual party in his brownstone, and he would invite probably every DJ played there. He would invite DJs from.
We know him. Do we know him?
I don't know if you know brother.
Well, is it secret?
No, Brother Natural. I don't know if you know Brother Natural.
Natural. Oh my God.
Yeah, I don't know if you know him. But he would invite DJs from all over. And again, I happened to go one night and I heard Jeff DJing. And it's just so funny that the first time he met me, he came and I was DJing. So
And where did you play before, Sadiq?
Well, I pretty much similar to Jeff. I was away for a while. You know, I went away to prep school for high school. I went away to New England for college. And then I ended up, one of the best things that happened to me is I ended up at Morehouse College during the onset of house music. And anybody that knows Morehouse, a significant portion of the population are from Detroit and Chicago. So I was around some of the best DJs ever while they were in school, studying at the same time. So my ear, my sound, I left New York one way and I came back another. My sound was transformed, and vice versa, I'm sure, for the Detroit and the Chicago guys. But I also played Connecticut radio. So I did that for 4 years. It was actually college radio. Our college radio is like Howard's college radio, meaning there's no major radio station, and Howard's radio station was the station in DC. So I played at one of those type of radio stations in Connecticut. So that was a major influence on me. But I was more of an intaker also. I mean, I DJ'd everywhere and did all of that. But half of my career I spent interning and listening and learning, honestly. I have 2 older sisters. They were hustle champions, literally, Nell Gwynns to whatever, and they were much older. So a lot of what I know about music and DJing come from my sisters and their art.
Oh, we hit mute by accident.
That's all right.
Well, I'm going to use that segue to ask a quick question. And that question is, what would you say was the biggest challenge that you had to face over the years of doing Soul Summit?
Ooh, that's a good one, right? Some people might even say, I would say 90% of people might say gentrification. Gentrification would definitely play a part in a challenge. I think a big part of any outdoor free event would be the money, the insurance, and then making waves in the neighborhood that is around. Fort Greene is a very, very political neighborhood. I would say it was probably ground zero right after Williamsburg for gentrification. And here we go, bringing in 5,000 people into this quiet
5,000 Black
neighborhood.
people, let's be honest. That's what it was. 5,000 Black and brown people.
Okay, yes,
Make your
yes.
face so you can see my face.
Yes, yes, yes. So, and as you know, wherever numbers of folks show up, people tend to get sometimes scared. People tend to get scared that 5,000 people of color would show up somewhere and not have and I guess people would speculate that there would be all types of problems and fights and, you name it. I mean, we've discussed it at meetings. We've been dragged into community board meetings. We've been the reason for the meetings. That was a challenge for a moment, but as we stayed the course, and we must thank everybody who also stayed the course with us and then make us look bad, because we would go up to the meetings and say, you're not going to have a fight here. You're not going to have a problem here. We would state basically our reputations on it with the people from the 88th precinct to back us up, that we've never had an incident at any of our events in Fort Greene Park. So, I mean, we will take a little bit of the credit, but I definitely want to throw credit out to the people that frequent the party. One of the parties that kind of controls itself, that if you see somebody doing something, you're going to be like, well, hey, I want to come next month or next week. Don't do that. So we had a lot of that. And house music, and I'm sure we're not the only house music event that's peaceful, but we're probably one of the few house music events that had that type of attention in that type of neighborhood at that time.
I would totally agree with it. Soul Summit for me was definitely a family affair. I had my daughter's second birthday. She's now 17. I had my daughter's second birthday at Fort Greene Park during Soul Summit. And we did a little barbecue on the side, picnic. My father was there, everybody. So, I'm really thankful to y'all for having an environment where we could have.
Thankful as well.
You know?
Thankful as well.
and to piggyback on what both of you have said, you know, Soul Summit uh, sort of contradicted the misrepresentation of Black male identity and culture. So to Taboo's point, you know, why do you even need to say that, you know, to people, what it's going to be like? You know, that is such a misrepresentation of who we are. So that's part of what we discuss. Like Soul Summit is a manifestation of who we are, period. You know, no need for explanation. The explanation is Soul Summit. The outcome and outgrowth is Soul Summit. But also prior to gentrification there, so nothing was happening in the park. So you have the flip side. You know, things had gone retrograde so far that Fort Greene Park had become synonymous for just the other thing. So we can't forget that. And the Soul Summit community is responsible for redeeming that spirit of what we really represent right there in Fort Greene Park, because we leave that out. Also, we talk about gentrification, but also what was happening prior to Soul Summit in Fort Greene Park.
Yes, and we've had a meeting with the commissioner. They tried to have a Halloween party. The gangs ran them out the park and before we came. We've heard all types of stories about events that went awry that the Parks Department tried to fund and put on, but they this didn't catch no traction or anything. But we stayed our course, and we knew we had a good product. We knew we had a good product, and we knew that the constituency would not let us down. So a lot of our faith goes back out to the people, because again, we know our house music community. We know that you can get a bunch of us together. Some of us is going to do what we do, but at the end of the day, there's not going to be a problem.
Right. Well, I will say, yeah, because some of what we do doesn't hurt anybody. That's number one. Respect to you guys for, pulling it off for so long. And I'm glad you said what you said, Sadiq, about there was nothing happening in the park, because one of the questions I actually have for you guys, without shade, is did you guys ever feel a way when post Soul Summit, other people started doing things in that same space?
We didn't feel any way, but neighborhood might have felt away. See, so it's not, my thing is Soul Summit does not own any real estate. It belongs to New York City. So I always let people do what they want to do. But what people should understand is that if something goes awry at another event, it will cancel all events. Because people were waiting, what people didn't understand, people were waiting for something to happen to go to the 88th precinct to say, this is why this needs to be canceled.
Right.
So that would have been on my only concern.
Right.
Right. And that's something to be said. So I also want to know about like what happened from the transition, because there was a time when you were doing it more often, and then it turned into something that was happening a lot less often, and then even in alternate locations. So I'm curious about that journey.
All right, well, I don't want to hog it all, but on the alternate is that a part of the kind of us becoming, I guess, official and recognized by the powers that be was that other powers that be also now want to do events. So not necessarily music events, but puppet shows, tours. They've done several music events in there. And at one point we were hogging every Sunday, or we were utilizing every Sunday. Let me put it that way. We were utilizing every Sunday, and we were asked if we would concede and kind of, cut back on our schedule somewhat for some other type of events to take place. And like I said, and a part of that a little bit is financial too. A little bit, it cuts down on the budget the less events you have.
but also, Tab, there was an uprising of anti-Soul Summit people that were
Yes.
calling for the reduction of dates. So yeah, Soul
Who
Summit
would you say those people are? I'm curious. Who's
part
the
of the whole
anti-Soul Summit
the
folks?
whole
Neighborhood.
neighborhood thing. So
So
what Tab
the
is saying,
whites, you're saying it was the whites.
whoever
Well,
represents, whoever
Not necessarily, just
No, I know. I'm just being.
for me, whoever represents
teasing.
that
a
idea,
little controversy never hurts.
right? But my point is, it was a combination of what Taboo is saying. Yeah, we're willing to share, but there was also a lot of energy that was asking for the wrong thing in relation to Soul Summit, and they put on a lot of pressure on officials to limit the Soul Summit's participation in that park.
Yeah, and that neighborhood, like I said, for some reason, when they reach out to elected officials,
Whoa.
it goes up the chain of command very quickly.
Sure.
We've met damn near every person that has anything to do with that side of Brooklyn. We've been in a meeting with them at one point or another, from the inspector, damn near the head of Brooklyn South, to Tish James, who you know now is the attorney general.
Right.
So we met with all these people because we chose to play music in the park.
Well, also because we chose to bring a community together harmoniously and disprove what I mentioned before, these misnomers and misrepresentations. Whenever there's a challenge there, there's a response. So no one cares about drug trafficking, the murder rate, etc. All that was happening in the perimeter of Soul Summit. So why all of this pressure and energy for a harmonious event is my question. And I'll continue to ask that question.
I think we already know that answer, though.
I think so too,
Like again,
already know
5,000 people of color.
That's right.
In a park that was known for previously gang fights and gang, affiliations and all of that. Honestly, you know what I'm saying? And it scared the people who were gentrifying the area.
And also, it's not really any different than us going into a club that has hip hop night, and then we show up and they have a certain expectation of what goes on the other nights, and then they love us because they're like, oh, this is not that. So people have to learn also. So, and I'm sure that there's a whole bunch of people that protested and thought that it was going to be one thing that attend Soul Summit now, because they're like, holy cow, these people are awesome.
Yes, that's so true.
But they have to learn.
Taboo mentioned, the conversion has been amazing. As he said, all of those who fought against us now love us. Fort Greene Conservancy, everybody's sponsoring and wants Soul Summit to be a part of their agency, which is fine.
Okay.
Right. We need more of that, though. In reality, I think that's a big thing, because we definitely need more of that, and people to recognize like that this community and what we bring to the table is not necessarily going to be fights and all of that stuff. So that's really important.
Yes.
Two things. One, because we are doing a rare hard stop at 11.
Yes.
I'm making an executive decision right now, Cynthia. We are going to have you guys back sometime in January. Let's make a date.
Yes.
I have a lot more I want to talk to you about.
Yes.
Yeah, because we have to stop exactly at 11, unfortunately, to do Toca Tuesdays. So sorry.
We know it's Toca Tuesdays. We heard you the first time.
I just wanted to say it again.
Tony Touch, we love you. But I want to get in my question, which is my question that I ask all the guests now, which is it's a fun, frivolous question. Answer however you like. It can be about music or not. Just what is each one of you? I'm going to start with you, Jeff, because you're on my screen right now. What is your guilty pleasure right now?
What is my what?
Your guilty pleasure.
Guilty pleasure.
Right now. Because these things change, and we're in COVID, and so
My guilty pleasure, I'll let it be known, I'm a vinyl junkie.
So that's it.
I'm a vinyl junkie.
Okay. I'm not, I mean, you're a DJ, so this is not shocking information.
Well, in this day and time, it may be, because a lot of DJs now, I mean, that's something that's not really, used as much.
Okay.
I guess also I show my age in there a little bit as well with the
So,
vinyl thing.
we all come from that that understanding.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Sadiq, your guilty pleasure right now.
Yeah. Wow. Music, music. I mean,
You feel guilty about music?
I don't feel guilty about it, but
Well, what's your guilty pleasure?
I mean, what do I? What do I
Yeah,
feel?
I know there's something.
What do I feel guilty about?
You know what you did. That.
Well, it used to be seriously the vinyl. Like we spend exorbitant amounts of money on vinyl, on music, on downloads, on whatever. So I don't know if I have a current guilty pleasure.
Okay.
Like I do what I do. Like,
well, I was gonna say, yeah.
Travel,
okay. So
have fun, and drink wine, and take care of my family. And yeah, it's like when you reach a certain. When I was 20, I probably would name all type of stuff, not realizing that it ain't nothing to feel guilty about.
There you go.
That's what we do. I'm from South Carolina. The men drink corn liquor till 2 a.m. They'll be the first one at church in the morning. See, so guilt is like, nah, we do guilt. That's
called balance. All right, and Taboo.
Well, I know I've noticed, if I have to say something, is I've been trying every vegan ice cream out since COVID started.
Okay.
Normally that's not me. I mean, but I like whenever I see a new vegan ice cream, I'll try it. And that's, like I said, the last 6-7 months. I think I went through all the, obviously I'm not trying all the ice creams, but it was hot, it was summer, it was hot, it was summer. I was like, everybody likes a cool dessert. Me being a vegan, I'm like, okay. So I went through about 8-9 brands of currently vegan ice cream.
I love that answer.
wow.
Too.
It was a pleasure.
I love that answer.
That is a good
I
one.
have a question for you guys, unless Sin you have, because
I do have one from the chat from our good friends, Mr. Brian Polite. He asked, can you speak to Soul Summit as a part of the legacy of mobile DJs in New York or in Brooklyn?
Yeah.
Well, hold on. Before we go with that, is that Be Polite?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was let me back up a second before we get to that answer. That was the first performer in Kyler Park with Soul Summit.
All right. Shout out Be Polite.
I think the legacy, because we all come from a mobile DJ point of view. I think we cut our craft in the on the mobile circuit, and I don't think Brooklyn gets enough credit for the mobile DJ movement that it spawned, and we're definitely was influenced by growing up going to parties in the park. Totally, like 100% of it. And we just, being that we had a house music background, we chose to play house. But I would say before I ever went to a club, I went to parties in the park. I didn't even know what a club was. And I remember guys playing records in the park.
Well, on that note, what about cutting and scratching? The thing that many people might not know is we all come from the cutting and scratching. Right. We used to call it. Yo, I'm going to your house to cut right now. We all come out of the background. Before there was house music, before we could sell house music, all of us were in our homes or in the parks, the three of us, cutting records.
Yeah.
Us that know what that is. So that's what's interesting is that we were in what would become hip hop. It wasn't hip hop to us because, of course, we were cutting and scratching rock songs, funk, jazz. They would play disco. That freaks out the hip hop DJs I know. It's like, yeah, you know, at one point in the park for a whole hour, they would just play disco. Yeah, even the tough DJ, he played disco for an hour. And they go, what? I'm like, yeah, see, you wasn't there.
Right. That was before the
Wow.
broke out.
That's right.
Right.
You had that, of course. Now
You know the other people that were cutting and scratching that are not you are part of the reason people had a preconceived notion of who we are.
Yes.
Because yeah, that's a different kind of party in the park. Just
Yeah,
saying.
pre-technology.
So
Pre-technology.
I have a question that is in no way meant to be stressful. So I hope you guys take it as a fun question because we're running out of time and I think it would be a fun, from each of you, I would like to know what you think is the biggest disagreement the three of you ever had.
I would jump in on that because I kind of deal with finance. Is events, which events are worth doing and which events are not. From not even so much what it just on, you know, like any business. Do I reinvest in the business? Do I so on that those meetings can be intense and very long and a lot of food and sometimes a lot of wine is consumed during those meetings. Going over what event is worth doing. And as you guys do events, you know how I go, what event is worth doing and which event can you afford to do? Because there's always a list, what you want to do and what you can afford to do.
Right. And then what's worth your time?
Yeah, there you go. That's it. That's
like
the
that.
criteria.
That's a great answer. That's a great answer. Sadiq?
Wow, the biggest, similar to what Tab said. We had those types of debates, but you know, I watched Berry Gordy and Smokey Robinson give their bios, and they say the same thing. And those guys love each other. You know, they sit for hours and debate which song would be a hit, which one to push out, and then the next day they come back and spend 8 more hours. So we do a lot of that stuff as it relates to the art. You know, we rarely disagree over things that involve ethics, value, love, family. Rare, we never, it's always something maybe artistic, you know, like again, Tab said, an event, because I know we're running out of time.
Okay. And Jeff?
Yeah, as Sadiq piggybacked off Tab, I think we, as a chain, we pulled each other along at times of stumble. You know, when it's time to stumble down. I remember one of the great pieces when I, you know, was like frustrated. Sadiq had a term. It wasn't necessarily a term, but he had a term pretty much, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Like, whoa, wait. There's a lot, and this was early on. He was like, yo, man, there's a lot going on here. Don't just look at one part of it. There's an entity here, and look at the whole thing is great. And so I would add that as Sadiq points out, as family, as love, we were able to stick together and pull together when frustration may hit. But not necessarily frustration amongst us, frustration with moving forward. Right.
Well, I think those are all great answers. And I will say, Sadiq, what you said about you guys usually don't have, I think the word you used was disagreements, but you have debates. And that is exactly what happens with people you love. You don't have to argue with them, but you can definitely have a heated debate. It happens amongst the best of us. And, you know, the smartest of us, these things go on. Yeah. So,
yes.
But so yeah, like we said, it's already happening. You're coming back at the beginning of the year. We'll make a date.
Yes, I think we could have them as our first guests of the new year, like the second week of January, if you guys are available. I'm just saying.
Right. Set a date. And we want to thank you guys for being here. And
Thank you.
And
for
thank
those
you
who don't know,
Praise.
next week
joining
is
us.
a special edition of the Bedtime Stories because it will be starring me, Redness, and
Mason Rose.
we're going to talk to each other about each
I have just
other.
one last question, and it is, where can we go to donate in order to support and contribute to Soul Summit? That is a question from the chat, so please.
Yes, go.
Oh, wow. There is a Cash App up. There is a Cash App available. If you go into Cash App and put Soul Summit Music, it'll come right up with our logo and everything.
Is it on your
So
website?
Is it on your IG?
It's not on the it's not on the IG.
But is it on the
yeah,
website?
it could be on the website in about 5 seconds. But
All right, so let's get it on the website. And the website, correct me if I'm wrong, it's soulsummitmusic.com, right?
That's correct. Yes.
Correct. Okay. So
Right,
people wanna
thank you.
support,
Wow,
support
that was a nice
soulsummitmusic.com. Support Bedtime Stories. We've got a Cash App. We've got a Venmo. We've got a PayPal. Hey, spread the love.
No, let people know it's real. Free is not free.
Free is not free.
Wow.
Free is not free. Support your friends in New York City nightlife.
Hello.
Hello.
Support me getting a cut for my COVID hair. But thank you guys so much. This has been fun, and
You're
you guys
welcome.
are fun energy together. And so, yeah. So people, next week, me, Sin Rose, Bedtime Stories, just the two of us talking our shit with the two of us. So
I look
next
forward.
So have your questions ready for us, because it'll be just me and Red next week to close out the end of the year. And
That's
then
it's our shit.
bedtime stories.
Bedtime
Wow.
Stories. It's bedtime.
That was good.
So thank
Thank
you
you
guys.
so
We will
much to
definitely-
everyone who joined us. Thank you to the Brothers of Soul Summit Music. We will
Thank
have
you
you
for
back
having
in
us.
January. And
I
thank
look
you to my
forward.
sister Red. I am Sin Rose.
And I am Redness, and this has been the Bedtime Stories. And if you're missing out on Bedtime Stories, or you can't stay up that late, or your friends are missing it, go to YouTube, Sin Rose and Redness's Bedtime Stories. We'll share the link, and you can catch up. That is all, I think.
That is all.
And
All right.
now it's time for Toka Tuesdays with Tony Touch. Look at that.
Right. And Pete Rock. They're right there. They're right there. Look, they're right there.
That way.
Right? Say hello to the people, Tony Touch.
Say hello to the people, Tony.
Who that is?
Who that is? That's Tony Touch.
Yo, what's up? What's up, man?
Hey, peace and love, y'all. What's happening?
Well, what's happening is now it's time for Toka Tuesdays with
you go.
Tony Touch.
There you go.
That's what's up. Yo, peace and blessings, y'all, man.
All right.
Happy holidays.
All right.
And thank you
Yes.
for all that hung out with us and stayed up with us. And,
Word.
we're going to continue this conversation. So
Yes.
Soul Summit will be our second guest, if that makes sense. Our first guest to come back twice.
All
That's right.
That's right. So history in the making, guys. History in the making. And
Yes.
on that note, I think we say good night.
All right.
Good night.
All right. Good night.
Good night.
It's
Thank you.
bedtime.
It's a bedtime. That's my Italian version. It's a bedtime. It's a bedtime.
That's the Mario Kart version.
That is. It's good. It's good. We need a remix.
All right. Good night, guys. I'm going to stop
Good
our
night.
recording now so we can talk amongst ourselves. Bye-bye,
Right.
people. And stop our recording.